I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and today I'm here at the Baskerville circuit in Tasmania for the first Australian drive of the all-new Honda Civic Type R. Sure, the Type R has already done the rounds globally, but it's been the source of much anticipation here in Australia because this is only the second Civic Type R that Honda have chosen to bring down under. And it's been positioned and priced to compete with the best in the segment, the Volkswagen Golf R and the Ford Focus RS. So behind this radical styling and the 228 kilowatt, 400 Newton meter, 2-litre turbo engine, what's this Civic Type R really like? Well, I've driven it all day on road and track to find out. Well, inside, the Type R takes the best bits of the Civic platform and only adds to them. So you get the same attractive dash as the all-new Honda Civic. It's functional and almost all of the controls are where you expect them to be. This 7-inch touchscreen is standard, it works pretty well. The only notable omission is satellite navigation, which is unavailable. However, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are built in. As for the stereo, I'll have to wait until I live with the car to judge that. But the digital driver's display is nice and clear and legible, and this small leather steering wheel falls right to hand in a great position. But really in here, it's all about these racing seats, which actually manage to be extremely supportive in hard driving and also very comfortable for skinnier body types, that is. So you'll definitely want to make sure you take this car for a test drive before you place your order to make sure that you'll be comfortable. Otherwise in here, it's pretty much conventional Civic, which means it's practical with plenty of storage options around the place. Well, the Civic hatch that underlies the Type R is already one of the most roomy choices in this segment, and the Type R doesn't take much away from that. The front seats are definitely bulkier than the normal car, and that does restrict your toe room and your leg room just a little bit here in the back. But otherwise, for a 6-footer like me, your headroom is more than generous. So this is a hot hatch that your kids and your friends will be able to fit into. But of course, the Civic Type R is all about driving performance, and we've got quite a bit more engine under this scooped out bonnet than in the normal Civic, which has a 1.5 litre turbo 4. Here, the capacity is bumped up to 2 litres, there's a bigger turbo, and power is up more than 100 kilowatts to a total of 228 kilowatts at 6,500 RPM, along with 400 Newton meters of torque in a plateau between 2,500 and 4,500 RPM. Now, Honda are talking about how this is a more linear and less conventionally boosty turbo engine than we're used to from them, but in actual fact, the Civic Type R still gives its biggest wallop of torque at about 3.5 grand, and it feels great. By all means, there's plenty of torque to use around town, but what it means is that when you're on it, there's more performance waiting for you the higher you get up the revs, and that's really fantastic for a modern turbocharged engine. It's connected to a really slick and snickety 6-speed manual only, no automatic available on this car, and that's fine. This is a typical Honda manual and it feels great. How does it sound? A bit like a kitchen appliance. All right, perhaps not that bad, but the triple turbo exhaust looks great, but it doesn't sound very inspiring, even in the hardest mode where it needs to be a lot louder. And speaking of that hard mode, which is called Plus R, the Civic Type R now has 3 distinct modes, and they all feel quite different. There's Comfort, Sport, and Plus R. The adaptive dampers are so nice in Comfort that you could drive this car every day and you'd be completely fine. In Sport, and especially in Plus R, the body motions are nicely reduced and the whole thing gets hunkered down, and the Civic Type R is an animal to drive on a good road. It's fantastic, especially because of the tenacious front end, which pairs an LSD to a dual-axis independent front suspension. There's a multi-link independent suspension out the back. It just means there's so much mechanical grip on this front end that you basically can just dive into a corner and get on the power and torpedo yourself out of it. It's absolutely addictive. And the steering itself is quick and direct, just like the normal Civic, although with even more tenacity. And of course, you're powering through Continental Conti Sport Contact 6 tyres that Honda developed in conjunction with Continental, so there's plenty of chemical grip as well.
First impressions then? Wow, Honda have outdone themselves here. But is this the best hot hatch around the 50 grand mark? Well, I think it just might be. It'll take a direct comparison with the Golf R and Focus RS to really nut it out. But this Honda is the sort of car that keeps a smile planted on your face all day. That feel-good factor, combined with true everyday livability, stands the hot Civic in rather good stead indeed. What an effort this car is. One thing's for sure, Honda is back.